Welcome to the Didger 5 Manipulating Images webinar. Hi, my name is Drew, and I'm the Didger Product Manager. I've been with Golden Software for over 6 years. I'm here today to take an in-depth look at some of the tools Didger offers to manipulate and modify imagery. The topics I'll be reviewing today are cropping, clipping, and resizing images, changing the image formats and modifying image colors, and we'll also take a look at a few of the processing filters in Didger. After the discussion of each topic, I will stop for a few minutes to answer any questions. You can send your questions to the webinar host via the questions function at any time. There is a question box on the webinar control panel under the audio section. You can type in your question and it will be sent to the webinar host, who will then forward it to me. If your control panel is minimized, click the View menu and uncheck Auto Hide the Control Panel. This webinar will also be recorded, so after the webinar is finished, a video will be available on our website at goldensoftware.com. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. Okay, the first item on the agenda today is to discuss clipping, cropping, and resizing images in Didger. I think it would be beneficial for everyone to briefly discuss the differences between these three approaches to changing the size of an image in Didger. So first off, there's the image resize image command. Using this command can be used to change an image's pixel dimensions and the resolution. When users use this command, they will be typically exporting the image to use in other Golden Software applications or third-party mapping applications. Now second, there is the image crop image command. This command is intended to extract a smaller portion of an image in a square or rectangular fashion, which will result in a new image being created. And finally, there is the image clip image command. Now this command is typically intended to clip an image within a project by a selected polygon. Now the polygon does not need to be square or rectangular. It can have irregular boundaries in any shape. So I'd like to work through some examples of each of these approaches. So first, let's take a look at resizing an image using the image resize image command. Now, as you can see, I have a project open that contains a single image. Now let's say that the image is too large for a mapping project you're taking on, and you need an image that is 96 pixels per inch. This image can easily be changed in Didger by using the image resize image command. I'm going to first make sure the image is selected by clicking it in the data manager. Then I'm going to use the image resize image command. In the resize image dialog, I can enter the new PPI or pixel per inch value next to resolution by typing 96. I do not want to change the image's extent, so I'll make sure that I have retain document size option checked, which is right here. And I also want to ensure that the resulting image has the same pixel proportions as the new image that I'm creating, so I'll make sure that the constraint proportion option is also checked. I'm going to go ahead and click OK to make changes to the image. Now you couldn't see a lot of changes there on screen, but when I have the image selected, the changes that I've made are reflected in the property manager. Please notice that the image width and image height have been changed to the value shown in the resize image dialog that we were just looking at. Now if I wanted to export the image to use in another application, I could simply use the file export command. Now I'd like to show an example of using the image crop image command. Now remember, this is the command that extracts a smaller rectangular subset from the image. Using the same image as an example, I'm going to make sure it's selected again in the data manager. And I'm going to use the image crop image command. Now you can see that my mouse pointer has changed and there's a little rectangle attached to my mouse pointer. This indicates that Didger is ready for the extraction area to be graphically selected by dragging a rectangle or square around the desired area. Now let's say I wanted to isolate this development area kind of in the northeast corner here. I'm going to go ahead and drag a rectangle, and you can see that, around the area that I want to keep. And as soon as I let go of the mouse button, the area has been extracted. Now this cropped image now is ready for export if desired, and you could do so by using the file export command. Now the final approach to changing an image's extents is to use a polygon as the clipping boundary. Now using the same image again, I want to extract an area of the image that contains all this development. So I'm going to first load a vector file that contains a boundary. I'm going to click the file import command. In the import dialog, I'm going to go ahead and select my area of interest boundary file and click open. Take away that fill so you can kind of see it. And as you can see, I have a irregularly shaped polygon that I'm going to use to clip this image. To do so, I'm going to make sure that the polygon is selected in the data manager, and I'm going to use the image, clip image, current polygon command. Now as you can see, the image has been clipped and it fills the polygon. And it looks like this would be a good point to take a pause, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up for any audience questions. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to send those to your host. Okay, I have my first question is, when I try to use the crop image feature, it's grayed out, and why can't I use it? Okay, most likely it's grayed out because the polygon has not been selected. So you can see when it is selected, the current polygon is available. Okay, I have another question that refers to the resize image feature. And the question is, on the resize image dialog, there were different resampling methods. Why did you use nearest neighbor? Let's go ahead and look at that dialog again. Okay, you're talking about these resampling methods. Okay, that's a great question. Nearest neighbor, I believe, is the fastest and most commonly used resampling method. That's why we have it selected by default. Let's see, I know that bilinear interpolation would be the best method to use if the image contains continuous data, like a heat map. Cardinal cubic spline and B-spline tend to reduce the sharp changes in the image. However, some images can come out a little bit blurry. And the BC spline tends to produce the sharpest angles. So I know that there's more information in the help file, so if you need more information about those, please feel free to check the help. I'm going to check with my host. Oh, how do you go back to the original image with 26 by 26 pixels, 2600 by 2600? I reopened the original image, and so these dimensions were the original dimensions of the image when it was imported. And hopefully that answered your question. If not, then I can shoot you an email after the webinar is over. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Okay, so now that we've discussed clipping and cropping images, I want to move on to discuss changing color formats of an image and also modifying specific colors within an image in Didger. Changing the color format of an image can be useful when a specific color format is necessary for a project. So changing the color format to less bits also reduces the memory load when loading larger images. So this command can be used for multiple purposes. So let me show you an example of changing the color format of an image. I'm going to go ahead and change this image to a grayscale image. So first I'm going to make sure the image is selected in the data manager or in the plot window just by clicking. And remember, when applying any of the image specific commands, the image always needs to be selected beforehand. So now to change the color format, it's real simple. With the image selected, I'm going to use Image, Change Color Format. You can see the Change Color Format dialog open. Now in this dialog, there's a few grayscale options available, a few index color options, and one true color option. For this example, I wanted a small grayscale image, so I'm going to go ahead and select 1 bit per pixel grayscale. And before I click OK, I just wanted to point out in the color format of the image is listed currently right here in the Property Manager. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK to change the format. And now you can see this image has been greatly generalized to just grayscale. And then you can see the color format is reflected, and this change is reflected in the Property Manager. So this simplified grayscale image can easily be exported again to use in another program if wanted by using the File Export command. Now let's move on to another example of modifying specific colors within an image. Modifying image colors can be extremely helpful when you want to highlight a specific pixel color within an image. If you want specific colored pixels changed to be transparent, or if you want multiple pixels within the same image to be the same color for generalization purposes. Now for this next example, you can see I have a topo map of Rock Hill Beach open. Now let's say that I wanted to create a more modern looking map where I want some of the areas in the map to be transparent so I can overlay it on an aerial image. Now as you can see, I already have the aerial image loaded into the project here, and I can show you by toggling off the top image here. So you can see underneath is my aerial. So I'd like to have these white areas within this top image transparent, so I can see the aerial through, and same with the water area, this blue area, so again I can see the aerial image come through. And I can do this by using the Image Modify Image command. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure the image is selected. Just checking to make sure I had the correct image selected. It's the top one. I'm going to go ahead and click Image, Modify Image Colors. Now you see the Modify Image Colors dialog. The first thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I have Make Pixel Transparent checked, because I'm going to make some of the the pixels within this image transparent. So I need to make sure I have this option checked. And now when I move my mouse pointer over the image, you can see that it's changed into the color selector. Now I'm going to go ahead and make this white area, all the white areas within the image, transparent by clicking with the color selector inside of the white area, and you can see that the current color is now selected as white. To ensure that I get all the white areas transparent, I'm going to bump up the tolerance the color tolerance setting just a little bit. And I go ahead and click OK, and we'll see this white area turn transparent. So that's great. You can see that the aerial is now coming through, and all the white areas that were within the image have been turned transparent. I'm going to go ahead and do the same process for the blue areas, the water areas. So please bear with me for just a second. Adjust the tolerance and click OK. And now you can see that all the water has been removed or has been turned transparent, and I can see the aerial image from underneath. And again, let me toggle off the top image. So now you should have a pretty good understanding of what these two features do in Didger. If not, please let me know. We're now open for some questions, so please send all your questions to the host so she can then forward them to me. So I'm going to go ahead and check with my host here. See, do I have any questions? Okay. My first question that's coming in is, can you change multiple colors at the same time? That's a really good question. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the example I just showed you. However, I'm going to do it both at the same time. So again, with the image selected, image, modify image colors. I'm going to go ahead and select the white area, adjust the tolerance, and then if I click the add button, I have an additional color that I can select here. And again, each of the tolerance settings are independent, and I could add multiple color selections to this. So then again, if I click OK, there we go. I have a question that says, can you also get rid of or manipulate the text? You know, this is an image, so you know about the best that I could do is remove pixel color. So you know, maybe like for example, we could use this process multiple times. Let's see here. Let me try to add another one. You know, you can do this over and over and over, you know, until you filter out all the pixel colors that you want in the image. Okay, I have another question. Can I save image, modify settings for multiple colors to a setting file and use it afterwards? Actually, no. That's a great thought, and that would be a great feature, and we can definitely add it to the database. But at this time, you have to set this up per instance. Now, you saw when I clicked OK, and all the settings that I've already performed within this instance, this single instance of Didger are saved. But as soon as I close the program down, those will get cleared. Great suggestion. I have another question. Do the pixels always have to be transparent, or can they be changed to any color? It's definitely possible. Let's show you one more example of this before I move on. And so go back to where we were originally. Sure, you can use this command to change the color to just about anything. However, you'd use this replace pixel color. So I'm going to go ahead and select the blue water again, and then let's just say we want to change it to purple, you know, just for the example. So very, very, very easy to do. Very quick and easy to do. So I'm going to go ahead and check with my host here. Do I have any more questions? Okay, it doesn't look like it. Okay, so Okay, for the final portion and the final example of today's webinar, I'd like to focus on using some of the image filters that Didger 5 has to offer. Now, typically, the image processing filters are used to pre-process or prepare images for a more successful vectorization process. Filters can also be used to improve the image appearance, the overall appearance as well. And I'd like to show you an example using this image that I have on screen. And specifically, I'd like to discuss the sharpen filter, the adjust contrast filter, and the adjust brightness filter to generate a better looking base map. Okay, to start out with this example, I have imported a nape TIFF from a lake in southern Missouri, which you can see in the plot window. The image appears to be fairly washed out or somewhat thin on the color. So you can zoom in and you can kind of see this, that this is not quite as crisp or bright as we'd like it. So the first thing I'm going to do to start making this image look a little more clear is to remove the alpha channel by using the image change image format command. Now, I did discuss this a few minutes ago, but I'm going to go ahead and apply it to this image as well. So with the image selected, I'm going to use the image change color format command. Now, we saw this dialog a little bit ago. I'm going to go ahead and keep the 24 bits per pixel true color selected. And this will strip out the alpha channel because an alpha channel is not supported in this color format. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And then I'll zoom out a little bit. And okay, now you can see this this base aerial does not look to be as washed out as it did prior to changing the color format. So we've already made some improvement here. So for the second part of this example, I want to apply a sharpen filter. So again, with this image still selected in the data manager, I'm going to click Image, Processing Filters, Sharpen. The Sharpen Image dialog opens. This is a very simple dialog, but changing the percentage of this right here in the percentage box will increase the contrast between adjacent pixels. So that'll enhance the features within the image. So I'm going to go ahead and use 50 for my parameter and click OK. I'll give Didger just a second to process here. And you can definitely see the difference in the crispness of this image. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, but this looks great. This is starting to look a lot better than it originally did. So next, I'd like to adjust the brightness in the image just a little bit by using the adjust brightness filter. So I can click Image, Processing Filters, and Adjust Brightness. We now see the Change Brightness dialog, and I'm going to go ahead and enter 15 here. And so increasing the percentage here will increase the amount of light that Didger assigns to the image. You need to be careful not to go too far here because you can really lighten up your image too much. I'm going to go ahead and use 15 and click OK. And now you can see this image looks a little bit better from applying the filter, a little bit more bright. So finally, I'm going to adjust the contrast of this image by using the Adjust Contrast filter. So again, making sure that image is selected, I'm going to use Image, Processing Filters, and Adjust Contrast. We now see the Change Contrast dialog. And I'm going to enter 25 for the percentage. And go ahead and click OK. So now we've got a really nice looking aerial image, and you can see the improvements within this within this image. And this is about as good as this base map I can get it. And so now it's ready to add more data to the project, or export it, or features could be easily digitized at this point. So I'm going to open it up one last time for any questions. I'm going to check with my host here. I have a question that says, which images have an alpha channel and which do not? Let's start with this image was a NAIP NAIP image that I downloaded from the USGS at one point. That is a 32-bit per pixel that contains an alpha channel. That one does. Changing the image format, let's see here. None of these images here have an alpha channel. So if this command is used, you're going to be stripping out your alpha channel by using any of these options. I have another question that says, when you export, will the filtering be retained in the image? Yes, absolutely. Anything you see, that's a great question. Any of the changes that you see on screen prior to export will be retained when you export the image. There are certain image formats such as TIFF that supports alpha, so if you had some transparency, and maybe this is what the last user's question was getting at, there is a 32-bit per pixel with alpha option to export to TIFF. There are some of the other image formats that contain that alpha channel as well. So hopefully that answered your question. All right, I'm going to check with my host. Okay. See if there is any other questions here. So I have a question that came in that's it's a little general. It doesn't really pertain to the material that I covered here. But someone's asking, how do I go about assigning and changing an image's projection? Okay, so assigning an image's projection would be done at the time of import. And that's a little more of a lengthy process than I want to cover in detail right now. However, I can definitely send you some links after the webinar is done here in a few minutes of how to do so and the steps to do so. Changing the projection is easy. As you can see, this image right here is a UTM NAD83 15 North image, and it can be easily changed by using the map change projection command. In the assign coordinate system dialog, you have all of your available systems here. And let me collapse this just a little bit. Okay, so we've got your geographic or lat long systems, projected systems, which includes UTM and state plane, and then there's a few templates also. So for example, if I wanted to change this to Rural Geodetic System 1984, which is a lat long system, I would select that under the geographic section. Simply click the system. Excuse me, I went too far there. Sorry. There we go. Quickly, just simply click the system and click OK. And so now we have a lat long image, and you can see that the XY coordinates reflect that, and also the system is listed right down here. So I think that looks like it's all the questions. So that concludes the webinar for this afternoon. If you have any additional questions about the webinar now that it's concluded, you can call our technical support phone line or email any questions directly to me at Drew, that's D-R-E-W, at goldensoftware.com. And again, a recording of the webinar will be posted shortly on our website. And always, thank you very much for your time.